So in this video, we're going to be setting up our sidechain. We're finally going to talk about that MIDI trigger, understand what it does and how to use it. I'm going to turn you guys on to the Ableton 8 compressor. It's not necessarily a better compressor, but it does remove all of the annoying clicks that you might hear from the Ableton 10 and 11 compressor. Again, it's not necessarily a better compressor, it's just better for sidechaining. And by the end of this video, you guys will all know how to make yourself a sidechain rack that you could just pull in and use for any track. All right, let's jump into it. So what is sidechaining? Well, traditionally, sidechaining started because the kick and the bass share a lot of the same frequencies, and there's really no way to EQ one of those out. So since the kick and the basses shared these frequencies, we got what's called frequency masking. And it was really hard to mix these two elements because they were basically taking up the same frequency range. But sidechaining came along to help us prioritize one instrument over the other. Okay, so if you sidechain your kick to your bass, when your kick hits, your sidechain will push down on your bass for the duration of the kick and then allow the bass back in. Now, over the years, and this is especially true in Illenium's case, sidechaining has become so much more than the tool it was. It's now a stylistic way to shape your song. And Illenium really lays into his sidechains pretty heavily to create that nice pumping effect that we all love. So here we go. We've got our sidechain group right here, okay? And we have all of our music inside this sidechain group. So instead of sidechaining each individual track, which will definitely get messy, we're going to just utilize that group and sidechain it one time on the group. Okay, so here's our Live 8 compressor. You'll be able to download this. Okay, what we're going to do is we're not going to use the EQ section because we're going to take advantage of the MIDI trigger. So let's go into our kick and snare. And finally, we'll be able to talk about this guy. So notice that what I've done here, I've actually just put a little node for every time the kick and snare hit. And I've got it attached to a sampler, which just plays a click. Okay? This isn't actually coming out the master or anything, but we're going to use it to engage our sidechain. Okay? So what we're going to do now is go back to our sidechain. Okay? And we're going to go ahead here and we're going to go up to our click trigger. And there it is. We've got our click trigger right there. Now it should come in and start engaging the threshold. Cool. And the reason that we're using this really tight transient is because it doesn't have a tail at all. And all we want is really to control that transient. So that's what we're going to do. All right. So let's go ahead and actually make this easy to do. So we're going to go ahead and put this in a group. Okay. And we're going to start mapping some stuff over to our macros here. Okay. So the first thing we're going to map over is our ratio right on the macro 1. Okay, we're going to go ahead and map over our release there right to macro 2. We'll do our threshold right to macro 3. We'll do our wet and dry right to macro 4. Okay, perfect. So now I can go ahead and control these guys from here. But wait, I'm going to actually duplicate this. All right. And now I've got 2 of these guys and they're both mapped to my macros here. So we're going to put the threshold all the way down and then we're going to start to mess with this release. Okay. So let's go ahead and try this. Okay. Now, if we listen to Illenium's track, you'll be able to tell that he's got that really crazy deep sidechain. Let's listen to his really fast. You carry around your box of glass with wounds so sharp that they cut too fast. Running when the sky comes down, growing more cracks when you can't be found. And you could really hear it during his drop. Okay, So he actually has two different side chains happening, one for the verse, which is a lot less dramatic, and one for the drop. So really at the end of the day, it's up to you how to do it. So now we've got a pretty crazy one, but it's maybe a little too aggressive. So this is what the wet and dry is for. Let's pull it back a bit. All right, there we go. So now we've got ourselves a really nice sidechain, and it's so easy to adjust and change, okay? All we have to do is use these couple of macros right here, all right? Okay, even make it look a little neater for us. Okay, great. So here's our sidechain rack, and we could even have two of them, one for the verse, one for the drop. Okay, so I'll just actually do that. So here's two of them. So what we'll do is we'll automate one to only go on during the drop. So we'll have it turn off, usually, for here. Okay. And then same deal here. We'll have this guy be on for the beginning part. Okay, super. And what we'll do is for the beginning one, we'll just make it like a lot less with the wet and dry. And then for this one, we'll just turn the wet and dry all the way up and yeah, get a really crazy one. I'd recommend saving that into your user library with all the other racks that I've provided for you guys. And this is just gonna make your life a lot easier while you're producing. One final thing I'd like to mention about the sidechain is I do like to sidechain my drum fills to everything as well. So that's what we're gonna do here. We're gonna go up to our drum fill group. And basically when the drum fills happen, I don't really want anything to be fighting with it at all. So for example, let's just check this out here. All right, perfect. You can see how the music all drops out while that comes in. Nice. Just a final touch I like to do because I don't like anything messing with the drum fills. I want them to be right in your face. All right? Super. So now we've got our really sick, big, deep, exaggerated sidechain. The last part for the verse is going to be adding in those effects. All right? I'll see you there.